They gave the alien woman to a human, as a joke, and now she is a mother by choice. They laughed when they handed her over. A cruel joke dressed in ceremony. She was tall, armored, silent, her green-hued skin marked with ceremonial paint that spoke of battles and bloodlines. The human they gave her stood awkwardly at the edge of the gathering, eyes wide with confusion and disbelief. His name was Jace, a mechanic, not a warrior. He had fixed a ship that belonged to the alien envoy, and instead of credits or supplies they gave him her, as if she were a trinket, a trophy, a joke for the watchers. She did not flinch as the deal was made. She simply followed him when he turned to leave, unaware of what had truly just happened. He led her to his quarters, a small dome on the edge of the human outpost, surrounded by red sand and wind-blown silence. She entered without question, stood in the center of the room, and waited. Jace rubbed the back of his neck, looked at her, then at the floor, then back at her. "I do not own people," he said finally. "I do not know what they were thinking." She blinked once, then spoke in a voice low and rough from disuse. "I am not a person to them. I am a message." "A message," he echoed. "A message that you are not respected, that your kindness is weakness, that your humanity makes you a fool." Jay sighed and sat on a crate. He looked tired, not from work, but from a life that demanded more than he ever agreed to give. "Well then," he said, "you are free. You can go if you want." She did not move. "I have no ship, no unit. I was left behind before this joke was arranged." He frowned. "So they used you too?" "Yes." He stood again, opened a cabinet, and took out a blanket and a water pouch. "You can stay here until you decide what to do." She did not thank him. She simply accepted the items and sat in the corner, silently watching him. Her name was Ysera. She came from a world where strength was survival and emotion was betrayal. But here in this small dome among tools, wires, and parts, she found something unfamiliar. Stillness, space to breathe, no commands, no expectations. Jace treated her like a guest, not a burden. He gave her tasks, small ones, helping him organize parts, carry equipment, scan for faults. She did not know why she helped him. She only knew that when she worked beside him, the silence between them felt less heavy. One day she saw him struggling to lift a heavy part, and without speaking she stepped forward and lifted it with ease. He laughed, not in mockery, but in gratitude. That sound stayed with her long after the moment passed. Days turned into weeks. She began to speak more, answer questions, ask a few of her own. She learned about Earth not through lectures but through stories. Music that made no sense. Food that made her lips curl in strange delight. Concepts like choice, comfort, home. One night a storm raged outside, shaking the dome. Jay sat beside the power core, muttering to himself as he repaired a leak. Ysera watched and finally spoke. "They thought giving me to you would shame you." "Yeah," he said, wiping his forehead. "But I do not feel ashamed." "Why not?" He looked up at her. "Because I see you, not what they tried to make you mean." She felt something stir in her chest. Confusing, warm, terrifying. More time passed. She started calling the dome home. She learned to cook human food, not well, but with effort. She built things with him, repaired what was broken. Her hands grew softer, her voice steadier. She no longer flinched when someone knocked on the door. One day a child came to the outpost, lost, alone, afraid. His mother had died during the storm. The others argued about what to do with him. No one wanted the burden. Ysera watched the boy. He was thin, pale, eyes wide with grief. She walked over, knelt before him, and offered a fruit. He hesitated, then took it. Jace watched from a distance, saw the look in her eyes. Not pity, something stronger. That night Ysera sat beside the boy as he slept in a spare cot. She spoke softly to Jace. "On my world, children are raised by all, but loved by none. They are shaped like weapons from the start." "And what do you want?" he asked. I want to do better. I want to choose. She chose. She became the boy's guardian. Not because it was expected, not because it would redeem her past, but because it felt right. She gave him a name from her language, one that meant light after shadow. She taught him how to walk with strength, but not fear. She braided his hair in warrior style, but sang to him in the soft tones of old memories. Jace helped. They became something together that neither of them understood at first. A family without definition, built not by blood, but by choice. The boy called Ysera mother before he ever called her friend. She cried the first time she heard it. Alone quiet, not from sadness, but from the strange beauty of it. Time passed. The outpost changed. People came and went. But in the dome at the edge of the desert, Ysera lived not as a joke, not as a symbol, but as a mother, a partner, a warrior of peace. The alien woman who was given away as a jest became a legend, not for how she fought, but for how she chose to stay, chose to love, chose to rebuild. One day someone from her world arrived. A former officer surprised to find her alive, thriving. They gave you away to shame the human, he said. They gave me away to free me, she answered. And now I am more than they ever wanted me to be. The officer left confused, unable to understand what she had become. She did not explain. She did not need to. Her son grew strong and kind. Jace aged with laughter lines around his eyes. Ysera remained a sentinel of quiet strength. She sat one evening watching the sunset her son, beside her, his head on her shoulder. He looked up and asked, "Why did you choose me?" She smiled and answered, "Because no one ever chose me, and I wanted that to change with you." And with those words, a joke that began her journey faded forever, replaced by the truth she had carved with her own hands. She was not a gift. She was not a joke. She was a mother by choice.